Hello there, I'm Randy Cross, and this is Unsafe Spaces. Want to thank you for joining us this week. We got a little bit out of the box this week as far as our guest goes. 2 weeks ago, we had Chris Nowinski from the Legacy Foundation regarding CTE and some of the advances and latest updates there. Last week, we had Jamie Dukes talking about a little opioid crisis and ways to mitigate things associated with the opioid crisis. This week, we're going to be joined by Brittany Hughes, who's the managing editor of MRC TV and host of Reality Check on MRC TV. And just to give you a little taste, this is a little bit of what Brittany does.
Hey guys, I'm Brittany Hughes. This is MRC TV, and here's a reality check for you. If you've ever marched through the streets dressed as a vagina, claimed that America was never great, or screamed F Trump, you don't get to be morally outraged over Trump's use of the word hole. And that's your Reality Check, America. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page, like us on Facebook and Twitter, and stay sane out there.
So you have been warned, but it'll be fun. We'll talk a little State of the Union, considering that just happened last night, and just some other things on my mind, her mind, and about what in general is going on in our great country. All right, but let's start things off. We normally do commentary and monologue. We're going to talk a little bit of football and a little bit of Super Bowl. Yep, Super Bowl 52 coming up this Sunday. Patriots and the Eagles. 2 weeks ago, I said it was kind of a dumb deal. Last week, I commended the Jaguars for keeping it close. I guess I'm saying there's a chance that Philly could win. Doesn't look very good. Gotta be honest. Not gonna lay down a line of bull and tell you, oh yeah, if Nick Foles can have another out-of-body experience, they've got a shot. If that defense can continually pressure Brady and slow down that running game, they've got a shot. But on the offensive side, the numbers just sort of say and scream that these quarterbacks aren't very similar, especially in big games, especially under pressure. We'll see what happens. I'm telling you, the Patriots are going to win. I could be wrong. Would sure as hell not be the first time that's happened. I do know one thing, though. When you come to a Super Bowl, nowadays, it's not about the game. There's the sports row, the radio row, all the media around the Super Bowl is absolutely crazed. All the events around the Super Bowl, the entertainment, everything else. Yes, Minneapolis will be jumping all week long this week. And probably one of the more interesting things around the Super Bowl is the whole idea of gambling. And not so much just who's going to win and who's going to lose. No, we can't be happy with just those simple little facts and total points scored and all the no. You have to have Super Bowl prop bets. So we're going to go through the top 10 Super Bowl prop bets this year for Super Bowl 52. And number one, there you go. It's going to start with all kinds of different crazy things on this prop bet list. Number one, what color will Pink's hair be when she starts to sing the national anthem? Is it going to be a different color at the end? I don't know. There's your odds. Number two has, again, something to do with Pink. Will she be airborne at any point during her singing of the national anthem? And if you've seen a Pink concert or been to one, it does involve a lot of trapeze and aerial effects, but it is the flippin' national anthem. I'm guessing she stays on the ground. The number of tweets by President Donald Trump on February 4th, over under is 5. I'm guessing that number gets blown away pretty fast. Sometime after kickoff, that number goes away. Number 4, on our countdown parade, what color shirt will Bill Belichick wear at kickoff? Or will it be a shirt? Will it just be a ripped sweatshirt? I don't know. My bet is it's going to have a lot to do with just being at work. See your choices there. Number 5, will former Eagles quarterback Donovan Mcnabb vomiting incident from Super Bowl 39 be mentioned during the TV broadcast? These two teams played in an earlier Super Bowl that was located down in Jacksonville. And McNabb had a little issue of getting sick at a very key part of the game, and it was on worldwide television. So he's got that going for him, which is nice. Number 6 on our list of prop bets. Will Justin Timberlake cover a Prince song during halftime? Yeah, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Purple Rain. Guess there's a chance. Don't know if he will. I'd bet for it just for sentimental reasons. Love Prince. All right, number 7 on the list also has something to do with Justin Timberlake. How many times will the term wardrobe malfunction be mentioned leading up to during the TV broadcast? That's from kickoff to final whistle, not including halftime. Now, there's your little caveat. So not including halftime. During the first half, during the second half, during the pregame. I don't know. That is the most famous thing besides the results that the Patriots beat the Carolina Panthers from that game back years ago in Houston. All right, number 8 on our list of prop bets. Who will the Super Bowl MVP mention first in his speech? I'm going with God. I think God gets number 1. Now, if you want a decent bet, go with teammates or none of the above. Okay, number 9 on the list of prop bets. Which number will be higher, the kickoff temperature in Minnesota or the total points scored in the first quarter? Now, the kickoff temperature in Minnesota has got a chance of being probably in the low double digits, let's say, I think, at least reading the weather reports. So total points in the first quarter could be, I think tops is somewhere around 13 to 14 points. So you got a really good chance for a push or a near push in that one. And the last place to go on our prop bet window is which number will be higher, points scored by the Patriots in this Super Bowl or points and assists total recorded by Boston Celtics guard Kyrie Irving versus Portland. Okay? Now, that's not a bad one. That's actually one you're going to have to do a little research, especially considering they're saying not just points, but points and assists by Irving. But let's keep track of it. Let's see how that goes. And those are your prop bets for Super Bowl 52. Probably the more interesting part of the game, if you ask me, but we'll see how that all works out. All right. Let's get on to our interview now, and I want to welcome in Brittany Hughes, who's a managing editor of MRC TV and the host of Reality Check. As I mentioned earlier, we're joined now by Brittany Hughes, managing editor of MRC TV and the host of Reality Check. Brittany, welcome to Unsafe Spaces.
Thanks so much. I'm so glad to be here. This is awesome.
I really appreciate it. Especially, it's very, very topical. Given the State of the Union last night, I'd love to get your thoughts on sort of overall during the president's speech and most everything we were treated to.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I actually thought it was a really good speech. I did. And I think it definitely proves, first of all, what Trump can do when he does stay on a teleprompter a little bit. He doesn't quite go off, which I think his off the cuff remarks are hilarious and great most of the time. But, when he stays on point, I think that he actually delivers a very, very powerful message and is actually a pretty good speech giver. And I thought that this was no exception. I think that it was definitely a rallying cry for many Americans. I mean, the polls have shown that the vast majority of Americans liked his speech. They felt really pumped up by it. They felt really patriotic about it, and we're heartened by it, which I think is something that we definitely need in this country right now. Is a little semblance of unity. We disagree on many, many issues, but I think one thing that many people would say that they agree on is that America is strong. We like it when America is strong, and it's getting stronger by the day. I think what I found really interesting though was the entire left side of the room apparently just like lost their memory of how to clap. They forgot how to do it or how to stand.
How about smile?
I mean, I'm not really sure what was going on with Nancy Pelosi's lip. It was like she had a cold sore or something that she was gnawing on. I couldn't quite figure that one out.
A loose denture.
He tried to something like that. Maybe she was had $1,000 crumb stuck between her teeth or something. Maybe that was the problem.
Possible.
Not real sure, but but I mean, poor Joe Manchin was trying to stand and clap for a couple of things, and he was getting glared down. The Congressional Black Caucus didn't even stand when Trump started talking about historic low Black unemployment. And I think that that's very telling in a time when Democrats have called for unity publicly. But then when they have a chance to actually show unity and, okay, you might not support the president's agenda or how he's getting things done, or you might not even like the man, but you can clap for record low unemployment. That seems to be that's not a Trump thing. That's not a partisan thing. That's an America thing. So I found that to be especially striking. I found it to be striking when, Luis Gutierrez, the congressman from Illinois, walked out during Chants of USA. It's kind of like, well, all right, I'm not really sure what country you're supporting, but if that offends you so much that you have to walk out, maybe I'll just assume he had to go to the bathroom or something. I don't know. But I thought overall it was a very good speech. The vast majority of Americans agreed. And I would like to see more of that in the future. Of course, that's what a State of the Union is. A State of the Union is a pump it up speech. It's a rallying cry. That's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's not a place to propose legislation. It's not a congressional floor debate. It's a pro-America speech. That's what it always is, and I don't think that this was any exception to that at all.
Well, a subject that won't exactly be a rallying cry or unifying event. We've been talking about this whole FISA memo for the last couple of weeks, or at least people that are on one side of the information business have been talking about it. What can we expect? I mean, the president went in an aside last night as he walked out, made a comment about, you're going to see it 100%. But what exactly, do we know anything about what actually is in that thing and for all the anticipation we've seen about it?
I don't think we can say that we know. We know what we've been told, which are snippets here and there. I did hear the president's comment, which it seems that he made kind of offhand to a question he was being asked as he was passing by. We'll see whether or not when he says, yes, absolutely, you'll see it 100%. We'll see exactly what he meant by that and whether that comes to fruition. I don't know that we can entirely bank on that yet at this point. I do think, though, that when it comes to a FISA memo, when it comes to potential corruption inside of the FBI, inside of the DOJ, when it comes to, you think about it, the left for over a year now has screamed ad nauseum about collusion with Russia, collusion with Russia, collusion with Russia. And that's not something that there's not been a lick of evidence that Trump or his campaign actually colluded with Russia, but they keep screaming about it. Mm-hmm. Now that there is a good amount of evidence, at least suggesting that there has been collusion in our own government agencies against Donald Trump, well, now we can't talk about that. Now we're going to sweep that under the rug. And I think that with the memo, I hesitate to say too much because I do think that, those on the right have really hyped it up.
Yeah.
Those on the left have really tried to downplay it. So whether or not it comes, it could come out and be a giant nothing burger. I heavily doubt that. I don't think that the left would try and stifle it so much if it were. But I think, no, I don't think we know what's in it. And I think that's exactly the point. That's the problem. That's why we need to see it. Because otherwise all we're getting are snippets from, one side saying, oh, this is really bad. And the other side saying, oh, no, it's not that bad at all. Well, why don't, instead of playing this political football game in the halls of Washington, D.C., why not for once let the American people decide? I think I think that's probably where I would leave it right now without knowing what's actually in it. I would like to be able to decide for myself whether or not I think it's significant. And I think many other people would too.
I'd love to get your thoughts on something that's always kind of bothered me. And that's gathering facts. And not that it's bothered me the ability to do it, it's bothered me the access to actual facts. How would you encourage most Americans? How would you encourage most people? You base your opinions, you base how you feel about certain subjects on the facts you can collect. Our media sources, and I mean all of them, are so slanted and so biased. They're either way on this side or way on that side. There's really no happy medium. Where are people supposed to go? I mean, I find myself going to maybe a dozen different websites, maybe certain kinds of radio, certain kinds of TV, going all over the map and almost having to kind of aggregate things on the same subject, get the information and try to form my own opinion off that instead of letting somebody else form the opinion for me. Is that one of the ways to go?
I definitely think it is. There was a day when I would have told you that CNN was probably one of the more middle of the line, what we would call mainstream media sources. And of course, that's obviously no longer true. They've pulled so far to the left that at this point, when I want to, torture myself, it's a toss up between them and MSNBC. They're not much different. But I think that unfortunately you hit the nail on the head. Of course, we at the Media Research Center over at Newsbusters and MRCTV, we try very hard to present things as factually as humanly possible, and not skew things to one side or the other. It's just, hey, look, this is what it is, and the media is not going to tell you this because they don't like it. So I know that we are one source that definitely tries to do that. But at the same time, I think that what you just said is unfortunately the exact right truth. I think that looking at a multitude of sources across the spectrum is what people are going to have to do these days. You're going to have to weigh one side versus the other, one person's opinion versus the other. And unfortunately in today's society, in the age of smartphones and everybody's so busy and everybody's attention span is about 4 seconds long, people don't want to do that. People want to be handed something and say, okay, here this is. I'm going to dump it in your brain. You don't have to do any work for that. You're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to work for actual information these days, in the age of social media and the age of fake news, and the age of everybody's a journalist because they've got a Twitter account. That's unfortunately just what we're going to have to do. And I think that that's going to depend on looking at a range of sources. Some things just are what they are. The unemployment rate is what it is. Okay, and you can't argue with that. Abortion statistics are what they are. There are certain things that are hardline numbers. But when it comes to formulating your opinion, I think that for too long we've gotten very comfortable just being told what to think. And I think that being a less educated, less knowledgeable populace is part of what's contributed to some of our very big problems in this country. If we could get back to the point where people are analytical themselves and can formulate their own opinions and think rationally. I mean, we were taught that in school. You remember analytical thinking,
right.
Rational thinking. We don't do that anymore as a society. We want people to tell us. And unfortunately, I mean, that's the way that most of us are. If we could get away from that, which takes time and effort and energy, which is difficult, then I think that would definitely serve us well.
Well, how does it work that we've got literally, I don't mean to go all Jetsons on you here, but I mean, we've got space age technology in our pockets, in our hands. We have access to all the information you'd ever want. And as a society nowadays, it seems we are about as low information as it gets. People go from zero to different expletive inserted here in a heartbeat over nothing. I mean, that's in the world of sports. That's in the world of politics. That's in the world of entertainment. Everything is just a hard and fast, crazy reaction, it seems, on everything. Anytime you ask somebody, you got to be so sensitive because you don't know, who really you're talking to and what's happening.
Well, everything is very, very emotional these days. I think that's one of the biggest problems. And I do put a lot of that on the era of Barack Obama. I do, because I think that you saw during the last 8 years before Trump, I think that you saw an escalation in people's inability to speak about things rationally, to have discussions, to have debates. I mean, there are so many times where I will approach conversations, not because I don't have the information or because I'm afraid to broach the topic, but very carefully, if I'm talking to a friend or something, because people's tendency these days is to just go absolutely through the roof the minute that they hear something that they don't like. And, and it's very funny because oftentimes it's the most quote unquote tolerant people who are the most intolerant of other people's opinions. And I think that, again, this is something, I think it all kind of snowballs. I think that a diversity of information sources where people don't know what to believe anymore. I think that the prevalence of social media where people can get hyped up and be keyboard warriors and scream and cuss at each other in 280 characters. I think all of that has contributed to our inability to even talk to each other anymore. It's become so hyper-partisan, so incredibly polarized. I agree with you. If we could, and I wish that I had the silver bullet answer for you of how we could get rid of all of that. But I think it starts with every individual person. If you're going to have a conversation with somebody, make sure that you're going to listen to their other side. It doesn't mean you have to agree with them. Mm-hmm. You might think that everything that they're saying is complete and total crap. But that doesn't mean that you've got to throw your, $7 mocha latte in their face and storm off. So it just, if everybody could just breathe and calm down, I don't know, maybe, drink a glass of wine or something and just chill. I think we would actually see that, maybe we don't hate each other quite as much as we might think we do. Just a suggestion.
That's fantastic. Hey, this is the week of the Super Bowl, sort of the big finale, not sort of, the big finale for the NFL. I know you're out on the mm-hmm. West Coast now. Do you have any kind of rooting interest in this game as to who may win?
So I'm going to tell you, I am not an NFL person. I am definitely more of a college ball person and Roll Tide. So there's that. But my husband, on the other hand, he's a Ravens fan.
You got to throw in the Roll Tide thing, right?
You have to. You just absolutely have to. I'm sorry. It's just obligated. My husband is a Ravens fan, though, always has been. So I kind of, when we got married, I decided, hey, I can wear purple, so I might as well root for them. That's in my color wheel. That's fine. So I don't love the Eagles. I just really hate the Patriots. Like I really, really dislike the Patriots. So I'm going to go with the Eagles. I am because I can't stand the idea of all of my Patriots coworkers being that happy the morning after the Super Bowl. It really makes me sad.
I know they're planning on it. That's for sure. Hey, Brittany, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate you getting up early out there on the left coast, my former home out there in LA and San Francisco. And best of luck to you and MRC TV, and keep those reality checks coming.
Thanks so much, Randy. Appreciate being here.
All right. Bye-bye now. Thanks again to Brittany Hughes for joining us. She's the managing editor of MRC TV and the host of Reality Check. Give her a look. Follow her on Twitter. Follow her weekly podcasts and weekly contributions on the video side there for MRC TV. All right, time now to move into a little bit of the world of sports. Well, there's a lot of golf tournaments that happen during the season, during the year. It seems like the golf season goes now for like 10 months. But this one this week's event is one of the more unique events in the world of golf. It's called the Waste Management Open. It's held down outside of Phoenix, Arizona. Now, that picture there is the 16th hole. It's a par 3. What makes the 16th hole sort of unusual? You know how uptight and buttoned up and just, I don't know, not boring, but, golf claps and, all they have cheerleaders. They've got people screaming and yelling. Well, just let this video speak for itself. This is the 16th hole at the Waste Management Open. Check this out.
Doesn't deserve a boo.
Hit it 20 feet from the pin, they're going to boo you. You better stuff it. Now, wearing a Arizona State football jersey, by the way, trying to curry some favor with the locals. It's John Rahm, won a tournament a couple weeks ago.
Oh, no. 52 yards today, Russell Henley. A couple under par, easily going to make the cut if he can just get to the clubhouse. And that's an excellent golf. Back over to 16, Jamie Lovemark.
Thousands and thousands. They don't get quiet. They don't stop talking.
Now that's a great lead.
And they say, "You shall entertain me." Just think, that's a Roman gladiator amphitheater like thing for a golf tournament, and that stays like that for 1 week out of the year. Otherwise, that TPC course there in outside in Scottsdale, it's a golf course. But hats off to the PGA for having this sort of an event, this sort of a scene, this sort of theater for a golf tournament. Because golf is one of those sports where I'd almost think heckling would make it better. But I do know one person that would argue that point, especially after last week's tournament. That would be Tiger Woods, trying to make a bit of a comeback. He played in the Farmers Insurance Open last week at Torrey Pines in San Diego and played all 4 days. Actually played pretty well. And it's a big mark in his sort of comeback with the bad back and the knees and everything else and physically he's had going on. But one thing you don't do when Tiger's putting is you don't try to distract him. This isn't the Waste Management Open. Check this out.
A blade of grass outside the right edge. He can keep the pace on this. It's going up the hill.
Oh, that was right in the middle of the stroke. That was awful.
I'm sorry. I guess I'm just an immature jerk, but I find that amusing. Tiger didn't, obviously. It happens. You're going to have people there live. They're going to click their cameras too early. And in that case, there was a premature go in the hole. God, heaven forbid that should happen. Definitely don't go to the Waste Management Open in Scottsdale, Arizona, if those kind of things bother you that much. All right, that's enough about golf and Tiger Woods. Let's move on to a familiar feel-good story of the week. And by familiar, I don't mean the hamster and the watermelon. I'm talking about a great feel-good story so far out of the Naval Academy. Their offensive coordinator, Ivan Jasper, and his family have gone through sort of a hell 6 months or so with their son, Jaron. Jasper has experienced some heart problems. I'll let the piece sort of speak for itself, but there is some good news and by way of an update that'll be at the very end of this update that I want to talk about and wish this family only the best. But check out a little backstory here on Ivan Jasper and his son and family and what they've been going through.
Navy Offensive Coordinator Ivan Jasper spends most of his days in the Naval Academy football offices. Here, the father of three surrounds himself with images of his children, including his youngest son, Jaron.
He was born here in Annapolis. And he loves everything about Navy football. We would come home from a game, watch football for the rest of the night, and Jaron was right there next to him. That was his little sidekick.
I never had to worry about Jaron. He takes care of himself. Great kid. Just my buddy, and in my heart.
In June, 14-year-old Jaron went for a routine physical that would allow him to play sports for the upcoming school year. The doctor detected an accelerated heartbeat and sent Jaron for more tests.
As soon as we walked in to the room with the specialist at Children's, he went up to Jaron, did like this and said, "You can't live like that. Your heart is gonna give out sooner or later, going that fast."
Jaron was prepped for a cardiac ablation, a procedure that would correct his abnormal heartbeat.
I just had that gut feeling something's wrong. And within about 45 minutes, the doctor comes in and just says, we had some problems and it took us a little over 30 minutes to resuscitate him. And I was like, what?
They're doing a procedure, they were almost done, and his heart stopped. And then come to find out, that at one point during the procedure, he was gone.
During surgery, Jaron's heart swelled, sending him into cardiac arrest. Doctors revived him on the operating table, but his heart was permanently damaged. He would need a heart transplant.
There's nothing you can do for your child, and that is the worst feeling. That's the worst feeling there. There's nothing you can do for them.
What an amazing family. What an amazing story. And just yesterday into the night before, the Jaspers were notified that they had found a heart, and Jaron has undergone successful heart transplant. It's not yet what you'd call the perfect ending, but as you see, Ivan Jasper overwhelmed with joy after his son's heart transplant. Ivan made the point to me in several interviews this football season that it's just like waiting on a miracle. Well, the Jaspers have gotten their miracle, and we're in that 24-hour process they talk about there in that tweet. Keep the prayers coming. God bless and stay Jaron strong. That's the hashtag. Hashtag Jaron strong. For the entire Navy family, heck, for the entire college football family. Congratulations to the Jasper, and Jaron, you stay Jaron strong. Now that's a feel-good story. All right, let's move on to the social media side. Let you know where you can find more of my Unsafe Spaces. As always, you can go to unsafespacesusa.com. You can go to randycross.com for the same thing. Any suggestions? It's producer at unsafespacesusa.com, and it's Stitcher, and it's iTunes, and it's Twitter, and it's Facebook, and anywhere you can get an iPod, a podcast, you can get this podcast. You don't need an iPod anymore, by the way. I'm dating myself. All right, that'll do it for this week. And how about a little different version of Happy Trails featuring your hard-earned tax dollars at work?